Heaven is where we are. There is no perfection because there is no imperfection. As such, there is no true heaven or hell, only the one you make for yourself. So this kind of goes into a little bit. I haven't actually read Dante's Inferno for myself yet. It's on my list of books. I have it. I already have my copy to read it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But from what I have heard about it, to me, it sounds like it is a description of not heaven and hell necessarily, but just the world, right? Because this world is absolutely beautiful, but it is absolutely horrific at the same time. And it really just depends on where you place yourself, right? And I think that's the main message of Dante's Inferno, but we will address that again, or we will readdress that when I get there, right? But pretty much what I wanted to say with this is that I don't necessarily think there is this perfect afterlife for you to go to when you die. You're just coming back here if you're going anywhere. And the reason why I say that is because I believe I've said it before, but how are you going to get to perfection? You know, how do you achieve perfection? How do you become perfection? Do it right now. Become perfect. You can't. What's even your first step? You don't know, right? And what's your last step? What is the final thing that makes you perfect? It's undefinable. It doesn't exist. It's not real, right? Because it's a subjective term. And no matter how close you get, there's always something you can improve. And so if the concept of heaven is this perfect place, then it's unattainable. It's not real, right? It doesn't exist because there's no such thing as perfect. However, if you choose to accept that there is perfection in imperfection, then you end up with the world we have now, right? Where we are. And you can say, okay, well, this is heaven, right? But you can also say this is hell, right? Because you can say, well, there's all these terrible things going on, right? Surely in heaven or, wherever, this wouldn't be happening, right? This terrible stuff wouldn't be happening. But I ask you, what makes it terrible? Like in the grand scheme of things, what makes it terrible? And it's just, it's bad for people. But, that's a subjective lens, right? So at the end of the day, if you can't have a perfect world, right, then you can't really have an imperfect world either, because what are you comparing it to? If perfection doesn't exist, then what even is imperfection? It's just life in general. It's not even really a thing, right? If its opposite doesn't exist, then that's not what it is, right? This world isn't imperfect. It is perfect. We just don't we just don't see it that way, and that's really our own suffering. But that doesn't mean that it's not true, right? I think just the main things that what I'm trying to say here is that if you want to live in heaven, then put in the effort to make it heaven, right? If you keep saying this world sucks, I just want to go to heaven, why not make the world better, right? Why not make heaven on earth? Is that not what the end goal of religion is? To make heaven on earth? I think that, I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not saying I am completely like above or innocent in this matter, right? But if you want the world to change it, right? And that's pretty much the conclusion that I've come to. I want to live in heaven. Well, how do I do that? I'm gonna make it, right? And I don't think that that's really an outlandish thing to say. I don't think it's really that difficult to do. We're all already trying to do that, right? Everything that you're working for and working towards is you're trying to build your own little slice of heaven. And I don't think that that's wrong. I don't think that that's a bad thing. But I think that we need to kind of look at the big picture here. And if everyone has their own slice of heaven, then the world itself will be an even bigger piece of heaven, you know? And so if we focus on making everyone else happy, then it'll be more likely for us all to be happy. Because if everyone is content, then that's one major concern off your plate. You don't have to worry about other people suffering. You don't have to worry about other people being jealous. You don't have to worry about other people, becoming resentful, because they all have their own slice of heaven. They already have what they consider to be their perfect life. They don't want what you have, right? And can we really make it that level? I don't know, but we can definitely try. We can do better than what we have now. I don't think that just because the perfection is unattainable doesn't mean that we shouldn't at least try and make things better. Because things can be better. They could definitely be better, right? And I don't think it's right to say, oh, well, we'll never achieve perfection, so let's just give up. But let's work towards making something better, right? At some point, there's diminishing returns on that effort. But I don't think we're going to meet it anytime soon, because there's just a lot of people that are going without basic needs for no really good reason. The main reason is because we have created this concept of lack and scarcity that just doesn't need to exist. Hunger is a problem because we liberated ourselves from the need or the task of making food and agriculture and all these things, right? But by doing that, we have also limited the amount of land that is quote unquote viable for growing food. And so we complain, no, there's not enough food in the world. That's our own doing. We did that. If we wanted there to be more food, we could do it. And I don't think that that's an idealized idea. I don't think that I'm not thinking through this enough. I'm pretty confident that if we wanted to, if we needed to, we could increase our food output tremendously. But we don't. And I don't even know if we necessarily need to really do it, because there's a lot of excess in certain places that could be transferred. But the problem is in order to do that, you have to take it from other people, and people like what they have. They like what's going for them. And so when you say, listen, we're gonna dial back how much food you get, people don't like to hear that, because it's like, well, you're gonna take away my food to give it to them? What about me, right? And even though they have plenty of food to eat, the fact that you're taking some off their plate, that seems unfair to them. And that causes issues. And so the way to resolve that is to fix everyone's mindset, because that's where a lot of the problems come from. Everyone's got a mindset that is just bad. It's a bad mindset, and we've been trained on it because that's how, things worked for a while, and it was effective because there was plenty of stuff out there to take, and there was no moral repercussions because they had the power. But if we want to do things and we want to do it right, then you can't use that model because it's bad. It's a bad model. It's a bad way of seeing the world. It's a bad way of living in the world. It's a bad way of surviving. Because what you're doing is you're not cultivating a future, right? You're depleting it. You're taking from the future to fuel the present. And at some point, the future will have nothing to go off of. And that's just not good, right? Like, I don't think that that's a crazy statement. Destroying our future for the present is not good. It's a very stupid idea. And that's how we are living. That's the current model we're working off of. Steal from the future, right, to pay the present. And that's not going to work anymore. It's just not going to work. So, heaven is where we are. There is no perfect because there is no imperfection. As such, there is no true heaven or hell, only the one you make for yourself. So, keeping on this path, we are creating hell on earth. I don't know why we're doing that, but that seems to be what we want to do. And I would argue that that is just insane. And the people in charge don't seem to care. So it's up to us to make a difference, I guess, right? If the people we put in power don't care about our futures, then we're going to have to take the responsibility back. And that doesn't mean rise up and take over the government or something along those lines. That's not required. We don't need the power of the government to make this change. We really don't. The government, I don't even know. I'm just going to ignore it. Like, it doesn't exist. Because it just seems like they care less and less about the people that they're supposed to be governing. And I don't understand that. And I'm not, that's not my problem. All right. I care about the people. Let's focus on that first. And so, we don't need oversight to make it. Like, if the people want to make a difference, the biggest and best protest I can think of is, let's not just go march down the street or stand outside some government building. Let's all get together, pool some funds, or pool efforts. You don't have to give your time, or if you don't want to, you don't have to give your money if you don't want to. But if you could give one of those things, right, if you want to go out and protest, let's go out and make community gardens. Let's go out and make, and improve shelters. Let's go out and if you really want to protest with action, right? Because what does standing outside of a government building with signs and yelling and chanting, what is that really changing? You're still waiting for the people in power to make a change. You don't need them to make a change. We can do it ourselves. We've always had the power to do it ourselves. If the government doesn't want to help us, we have to help ourselves. And that doesn't mean, like I said, that doesn't mean fight the government. That means we're going to just go around them. If the government won't pool the funds to make a difference, we'll have to do it ourselves. If the government won't assign people to the task, we'll have to do it ourselves. And You don't have to do anything crazy. You start small. Let's just do something, let's find a group of people, do something in our community. Oh, we found out this community over here is also doing this. Well, now we can kind of do things between their communities, right? We can share resources. We can share, volunteers and stuff, and we can work together on this. And you just build up the network and the connections over time until you have just basically your own separate system, right? And I'm not saying we can do it all. I'm not saying we can do everything. But if we start there, right, that a protest on that, in that method, in that way, is going to do a hell of a lot more than just standing there and waiting for someone else to take action. If you want action, take actual action, right? That's something that I've never really understood about protests, right? I don't really understand how they're like I understand that there's some, like, they do have some effect, but there's certain things where I feel like you're wasting your time and energy waiting for someone else to do something that you can do. So, let's do that, right? I'm not the one that's going to organize this. This is something we all have to choose to do, right? And what level you start is dependent on what you have available to you. But we all have to start somewhere, and I'm trying my best to do the same, right? And so let's begin. Like, there's really nothing else to say, right? Yeah. Peace out.